Craig and Gail, hello.
Hello, how are you today?
Wishing it was a little bit wetter outside. Garden is having, this is a repeat of last spring, I'm afraid, or at least it's beginning to look like that. And that was not, this is not welcome weather. It's as nice as it is outside.
Yes, it's a little bit too hot too early, isn't it?
Yes, much too hot. It just snapped. It just went into high gear almost immediately. I mean, the garden's doing great, but it, I got to be out there with a hose every day, and which is fine, I suppose. But we need the rain and forest fire. Isn't there a big fire in Williamsburg or Williamstown, something like that? I heard that there was an enormous forest fire just to the west of us, and those things really scare me, as I'm sure they do you too, because you're on the border of a lot of the whole brushy mountain scene, and who knows, if fire ever got started to the west of you, and started blowing in this direction, that wouldn't be good.
Yes, lots of flammable materials. 4,000 acres of it actually in my backyard.
I know, dear. Put a light on this. Here we go.
Hi, you all.
Hello, Graham.
Hi, Graham.
Greg, did you get rid of all your students now?
Yeah. Not my grad students though.
Yeah.
But all the undergrads are gone.
Yeah.
So Amherst is quieting down a little bit now.
I heard they had 3 separate graduations. Did you have to go to all of them, Craig?
They had 4 of them, and I was only allowed to go to one of them because I had
Oh.
they weren't, you had they were trying to limit the attendance. So I was allowed to go to a graduate graduation that I had a student graduating from. But the others, no, I was not. I don't normally go to all of them anyway, so I often don't go to the big one. But I did go to the graduate one today this time.
If there's a good commencement speaker, right, you'd go then.
There were no, yeah, you're right. There have been some good ones. Neil deGrasse Tyson a while back. I went to that one.
Yeah.
But yes, other than that.
So Craig, you can give a review of. I saw you were one of the help tickets this month, and it said line ID blocking. Do you want to tell us if Crocker did a good job? What was were you involved in whatever the middle of the month? I think some problem.
Oh yeah, for some reason, all of a sudden, all of our calls were going out anonymized.
Nah.
I don't know why, but I called it and they said sure, and they fixed it right away. So I don't know what initiated it, but they fixed it quickly.
And you just couldn't see IDs. Yeah, the
phone. When we made a call, other people would get a thing that says the person is blocking their identification.
They couldn't see your number. Got it. Okay. Right. Yeah. So it's a setting. Yeah.
Is there any the FCC what is it, stir shaken?
Yeah, stir or shaken.
Oh yeah.
Is that actually going to happen on July 15th or whenever? You heard
it's supposed to happen on June 30th.
June 30th.
It's a nationwide rollout, and the FCC is actually trying to crack down on the extension that was supposed to be for another year or 2 years. I don't know, but they're trying to make the kind of final deadline with no penalties to be next June of 2022. It was longer than that. I don't know how much longer. But I saw in a news feed today that they're trying to really enforce it a year from now. So like all of these federal things, it's like, here's the deadline, and then you have, another year before they start enforcing.
Yeah. Well, it's a good gesture, I guess, on some.
They're trying. I mean, they have hopes for it. The hackers will always stay a step or two ahead, but
Yeah.
they hope that
Yeah.
this will at least reduce it.
That's the
Well,
trouble with granting an extension. Within a year or 2 years, the hackers will have figured it out and figured out a way around it.
yeah. Well, if the hackers can bring down Colonial Penn, I'm sure that calls, robocalls are not going to be a problem to get around.
Yeah, really.
Does Crocker offer, currently, does anyone know, sometimes the same stupid robot number will come in like 3 or 4 times. So it just will keep on phoning us. Is there some way of specifically blocking a particular number that we can implement from our own system, or does Crocker offer that? Do you know, Gail?
I know that you can call Crocker if you keep getting bugged by a specific number, and they can block it from their end. I don't know if you can do it yourself.
Right.
Like I know in Verizon, there's something like you press star something after you get a call, and it automatically blocks it. And I don't know, you'd have to call Crocker and see if there's something that, or, maybe a quick email. I think it would be annoying to call Crocker, talk to customer support just to block a number.
Yeah.
And it's whack-a-mole because they just rotate the numbers around
Yeah.
all the
Oh
time.
yeah, no, I know.
So-
If it's not easy to do, then it's not worth doing. I agree. But
Right.
sometimes
When we bought the current phone I'm using, one of these Panasonic wireless phone systems, it came with 250 number call blocking. And
wow.
it's like, what do we need to block 250 numbers for? That thing up. Blocked all 250. And because they just keep coming up with new numbers. So
Yeah.
No.
I had a call come in today that caller ID said it was from Valley Medical. I thought, okay, I'm a Valley Medical patient. And it turned out it was a robocall trying to sell me Medicare or something or other.
wow.
Yeah.
Mm.
So they can fake things.
Have they worked it? The worry there is they've worked out something about you, possibly, or maybe they were calling everyone from Valley Medical today.
Well, all they need to know, all they have to know is my age.
Yeah.
I'm getting close to that.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting one though. Or they could just call, they could use a hospital's name and call everyone in the whole region using that
Exactly.
hospital's name. That would be, I mean, if like the hospital called me, I'd be like, what if, it's someone I love trying to call me from the hospital?
Right.
I'd definitely
Right.
pick up.
Right.
So, all right, well, let's get started. First order of business as usual is approve the previous meeting minutes from April 21st. Jim sent them around, Craig voiced some concerns, and Steve sent some nice edits on there. And so it all looked good to me. I'd like to make a motion to approve those.
Second.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great. We are coming up against our fiscal year end. So a question I have for everyone is, do you want to stay on the committee for another year? This is the time to drop off. If anyone has just had enough, you've all, been in it for the long haul. And so is anyone on this call want to stop? I realize we don't have a full house here.
I will be leaving on whatever, I assume. It sounds like I'm gonna be a select board person, which for good, better, whatever.
Well,
that's the
bless
story.
you.
I know, whatever the story is, but so I think next meeting would be my last one.
Okay.
You do have a challenger, Eric.
That's what I've heard,
A write-in challenge.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Has a write-in candidate ever won in Shutesbury?
oh, I'm sure. You,
I don't know.
if there was no one running for something, you.
Yeah, then I'm sure, yes.
Okay.
I think that has happened. I don't know if that's something for
But
select.
I'm thinking if there's somebody on the ballot, that's a lot of work to get people to write in somebody and remember their name.
Right.
Unless
Right.
they were famously horrible. The person
Right.
on the ballot was famously horrible, then yeah, the write-in might have a chance. But Eric, everybody
Well,
loves
I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no comment.
it. Strike that from the record, Jim.
Right.
All right. So I will get you officially removed, Eric, from the website.
Not yet. He's got another month.
I guess that's a question. Regardless of the outcome of the select board meeting, do you still want to be removed, or do
Oh,
you
no,
want to wait?
if I happen to lose, I'll stay on. I got to do
Okay.
something with my life.
Maybe I'll vote for your challenge.
So we're second best, Eric.
That's
what-
right. You know,
Yeah, okay.
All right. I will not
Wait a
do
s-
anything though, but yeah, we'll
You can wait a cycle, yeah.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
wait one cycle.
I might still
Next,
come just to say hello and,
that
they
would
are
be
open,
fine.
but-
We'd love to see
Always
your
welcome,
face.
always
Our
welcome.
meetings are open.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're not allowed to stop you, Eric. Sorry.
Right.
Yep, you can just come in and give a couple of your famous one-liners and go again. It'll be
Right. There you
great.
go. Tell you the week's joke.
Yeah.
What are we looking at here, Gail?
So on the screen, I just brought into the HUT report. So I did get a quote from Crocker about moving our MBI circuit down to Leverett. They explored connecting in New Salem. They explored connecting in Wendell. And Leverett is our least expensive option when it comes to the available hardware and what MBI has available in these HUTs. So it is and it's in a pretty affordable $3,440, and that includes the installation of the managed fiber hardware, the provisioning of a 1 gig port in the Leverett HUT, the provisioning of the backup circuit over the existing fiber from Leverett all the way to our HUT, and the installation of the managed fiber hardware in our HUT. We have no obligation to MBI except for a 30-day cancellation. So one thing that's important is the installation is only $2,000. So this is the one-time cost, but we will be potentially paying for a gig, and that's something I want to talk to you about. So currently we pay $850 a month for a 250 megabit connection. Now that's all well and good, except that it's not enough to do anything besides keep the phone system running. So if we had a true outage where our network was, sliced somewhere on Pratt Corner Road from Crown Castle, the entire town would go out. And only phone service would be up and running. So even though we're paying for this redundancy now, the amount of backhaul we're getting is so little that it's not really a redundancy. So Crocker, Tim at Crocker suggested that we bump it up to a gig. And so that is unfortunately going to add another about $600 to our monthly expenses to get this, enough backhaul so that people could still do what they needed to do, run Zoom calls, watch a movie, and run the phones.
So this is $1,400 a month for backup through our MBI connection?
No, through an MBI connection at the Leverett HUT. We have one right now in our HUT
Right?
for $850 a month, but it's only
Why can't we
$250.
just upgrade ours in our HUT from 250 to a gig?
Absolutely.
Could, but this is accomplishing two different things.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
This
Yeah.
is better, what would you say?
I would say better resiliency, because
Yeah.
we have this span of vulnerability running from Pratt Corner Road up through the road to the center of town, where if anything happened anywhere on that, we lose everything.
But our redundancy currently through MBI goes up West Pelham Road and then only shares a short stretch from there to the town hall, no?
Yes. It's
So
the,
if something went out on Pratt Corner Road, we would have redundancy from our hut.
You are
Right.
right. Yep.
In contrast, if we go to Leverett, if there's an outage anywhere on Wendell Road or Locks Pond or North Leverett Road, then we lose our connection as well. So I don't see one as being any better.
No, the Leverett connection is going to, oh, I'm sorry.
Comes up Wendell Road.
It does,
Wait,
Comes up
Lev-
Wendell Road from Leverett.
I'm still confused.
Okay, from the hut in Leverett, it comes to Lake Wyola and then comes
Yep.
up Locks
Okay.
Pond Road, I should say. and
Okay.
then
That's right. Okay.
Wendell.
yep, you're right. Okay.
Yeah, so.
So if any of those, if it goes out anywhere along there, we also lose.
Except we'd have the Pratt Corner Road connection. We'd have a
Correct.
primary connection, right? So-
Wait, so if we
So-
lose both,
Hmm.
the Pratt Corner
We're screwed.
Road, Leverett Road connection and the Locks Pond Road, Wendell Road connection, then we're sunk, but there's no overlapping of those two connections other than right at the center of town. Is that correct?
Well, so the overlap for the direct feed to our hut is the stretch of Leverett Road from West Pelham Road to Town Hall. They're
Yeah,
going on the same poles as the Crown Castle,
yeah.
right? So you avoid that liability if you go to Leverett,
Correct. Yeah,
but that's the only benefit you're getting by going to Leverett.
yeah.
That
That's
is
it.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And does it cost us anything extra at all to go to Leverett versus to our hut?
Yes.
If we kept 250 megabits, then it wouldn't cost anything extra, would it? It'd just be the installation fee. Right? Is that true?
No,
Gary?
I'm saying let's assume we're gonna bump it up to a gig. We can either do that at our hut or we can do it at the Leverett hut.
Yes. Yes. It's $2,000 to get this done at the Leverett Hut. So we're paying extra $2,000 to
And
move.
how much does it cost to get it at our hut?
Nothing. It's
Well, the
already
monthly
done.
service charge goes up equally, I assume, from at either location.
corrected. The monthly service doesn't matter if we're doing
Which
it from
is-
our hut or Leverett. It's going to be the same increase either place.
Which I just calculated
MBI
$7,080 a year.
MBI considers this as being dropped at Leverett and it's coming up on dark fiber, our dark fiber and Leverett's dark fiber to get to our hut. So that's the at the moment MBI drops it at the town hall and it kind of jumps in and out to our hut. So the MBI service ends where the MBI fiber ends,
Sure.
and that in Leverett is in Leverett. So.
This is the hut by the North Leverett Fire Station.
Yeah, it might even be the other hut. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I'm pretty sure it's the North Leverett one near the
Okay.
fire station.
Yeah.
So I think the real question is it worth paying a one-time fee of $2,000 to remove this span on Leverett Road that's a one path liability?
It's a close call, isn't it?
Yeah.
If a disaster happened on that stretch of Leverett Road, took out fiber lines, we'd have a real mess on our hands because not only are both of our feeds there, but a major portion of our outbound network maybe not a major portion, but a significant portion of our network runs along there.
That's a good point. It's a good point that we don't actually need as much backup, do we? If we lose the Crown Castle, half of the town is not going to be noticing that we have a backup circuit anyhow.
That's right. And I'm in that half, but yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
me too.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, well, if that line comes down, like that, the fibers are severed in that stretch. There's going to be a big repair job to get, well, I guess not to get, well, yeah, to get it right now, but to get anything up and running. But even if we had another feed, it would still be half the town that wouldn't be getting served.
Yeah. We'd have a big, we would have a big urgent problem for sure. But
Yeah.
but it would be nice. The other half of the town, hey, that's me, Craig. we would still have some sort of. Oh yeah, and Kent, he's smiling.
Well, I still don't know whether it's half the town. There's just so many houses around here. I don't know. Is it half the town or not half
You're
the
a
town?
quarter of the town, Kent.
Yeah. Just the
You're-
lake is a quarter of the
Yeah,
town.
the lake is a quarter of the town. Yeah, so.
I mean, the way I look at it, I guess, is, well, going from Leverett, you're running fiber on lots of relatively small roads. I don't know how it gets from the Leverett Southern Hut to the Northern Hut, but probably up Cave Hill or something like that. They're both vulnerable. I mean, either way is vulnerable, because ours is going through.
It's the diversity of vulnerability that is probably just worth $2,000. Gail, it did occur to me, kicking it up to a gig, that's maybe less for the rare times that we're going to be using. Even though I was initially the person who pointed out that 250 megabytes wasn't going to do much, as you found out, or as you confirmed with Crocker, it'll definitely keep the phones running. One thing I did find out from Calix, or I confirmed with Calix, was that we would have it's a possibility, or it's that the voice over IP part, the SIP phone system, the SIP phone system that runs from the hut, that we could actually separately do a satellite link to back that up, probably fairly inexpensively. And that would actually have the benefit that on some horrible event where mostly out of town, MBI and Crown Castle goes down somehow or other, that the town would still be we wouldn't become a black hole on not being able to phone in my 911 call for my heart attack because I can't stream TV anymore, sort of thing. You would be able to get out if the hut hadn't been wrecked and the hut had power from emergency power still. Then anyone who still had fiber to the hut would have their POTS phone working if it had its fairly inexpensive backup circuit to a satellite. So it's something that we could also ask Crocker to price.
The latency of satellites,
Yeah, it wouldn't be great.
satellites makes phone systems not work well.
It wouldn't be fantastic conversation quality, but better to be able to, if your house is on fire during, then it's still a good call. So
There may be some
so-
legalities associated with
so-
sharing the satellite with 800 users. I don't.
Right. Or the 250 MIPS. I mean, so thinking outside the box, right now we have a deal with MBI. We're paying a certain amount of money for just basically being on retainer because we're not using them at all, right?
Correct.
Is it at all possible we could tell them we want to be on retainer with you and we want to be able to access it either from Leverett or Shutesbury for the same account? We'll go one or the other. We won't do both at the same time, but we want the ability to go either way depending on how conditions go. It's outside the box.
Right,
But-
right. So you're proposing that we pay to set up the Leverett hut to handle the connection, And
Yep.
then Crocker can somehow, in an outage, decide where our feed is going to come from.
If MBI would allow that,
Hmm.
then we get 3 feeds into our hut.
Right. I don't know if A, they allow it, or B, if it's technically possible, but I can certainly check.
Another question is, how long does it take to activate an MBI line? If we didn't have them and we needed to turn them on, how quickly can we turn them on?
That's a good question. Like, what would it, how long? Yeah, how long would it's more than
I
a
mean,
day. I know that.
Yeah, let's say we're looking at a multi-day outage and it's a Monday. Can we call up MBI and say, we want a connection over here? If we've got the electronics already set up. I mean, if it's,
They probably wouldn't admit that they could turn it on at 10 gig because they want you to they want you to pay, and they wouldn't want to have to rush it. But yeah, it is interesting that the circuit, our backup circuit, it's too bad they don't have a deal that just offers a backup circuit rate, because they're not paying. There is no data. There's no
Right.
data that we're using. So
right,
I
right.
guess that would be, Gail, that could be a good question to MBI, that, you know, that we would pay a data rate when we used it, but can we have a cheaper, you know, capacity for an
Well,
empty pipe?
Yeah, I already had them ask, and it was a no.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're trying to balance their books. I understand. They don't want to cut us deals if they don't have to.
Yeah, absolutely true. Yeah.
Yep.
I-
And we did look into also the same thing. You know, would a Verizon backup be
Yeah.
cheaper? And it would not.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't mind spending the $2,000. That's fine. I'm not convinced that Leverett is any safer than our hut, except for that one small stretch of Leverett Road.
Yeah, it's just the diversity, pathway diversity, and
It's not
600.
diversity. No, it's not diversity. It's one or the other. The diversity is equal. The diversity is we're getting
pathway
some other feed to supplement our Crown Castle feed. Right?
Well, yeah, the pathway diversity is getting off of so much of Leverett Road.
Off of Leverett Road, exactly. So there is a benefit on Leverett Road, but after that,
Yeah,
it makes no difference.
Yeah, no, and MBI certainly winds around through the woods of so many towns, doesn't it?
It does.
I don't think.
Well, from here it goes through Pelham, which of course is small town city, but then it goes into Amherst, and then it's on to bigger paths after that.
Gets on the power line there. Yeah, no.
No, I think it's still on telephone poles.
Yeah, I think a lot of MBI went on the roads. So
they did. We know that because there was
Yeah,
a
we saw
breakage
it
in Holyoke.
yeah, so
And regarding the upgrading the MBI service from the 250 to the 1 gig, do we know how rapidly we could upgrade, you know, on a spot?
All right.
Could we upgrade quickly to 1 gig or a couple of gig if there was an extended Crown Castle outage? Have we looked into that at all?
Nope. I can do that though. So the questions that we want to look at is, can the connection be put in Leverett and then on the fly be able to choose if the feed can be turned on or switched between the Leverett or Shutesbury hut from MBI? 2, can it, well, how quickly could it be turned on if we said, okay, we don't actually want a monthly contract, but could we call you at the middle of the night on a Saturday and get it going? I have a feeling the answer is a
Yeah, no, I
no
think,
on
yeah.
that.
Well, except that they must have a 24/7 network operation center. Well, I would hope they would.
they do, but that's only for repairs, Steve. That's for
They don't have a-
customers who are paying money already.
They need to have a 24/7 legal center that can sign contracts and things.
Yeah.
It may be a better way to phrase it than that. But,
Yeah.
you know, once you're already a customer, you may be able to.
Yeah,
Right.
the bumping from 250 to a gig is conceivable, right? You've already got billing in place. You've already got.
Right. Okay. I will see what increasing the connection at a moment's notice would entail. Anything else that you want to
I
know
just had
about
a
this before
question for
we?
Craig, I just didn't, and I haven't gone through in my mind, what's the benefit of having the option of doing either one? What's
Well,
the failure
if
benefit?
Crown Castle goes out and a tree falls in Pelham, then we go to Leverett. And if Crown Castle goes out and a
It
tree
would have to
falls
be
in
two, it would
Leverett,
have to be two scenarios that.
it would have to be two scenarios, agreed. Yep. Or, well, yeah,
Or a
or
tree comes down on Leverett Road,
exactly.
knocks out both Crown Castle and our current MBI connection.
No, this would just be why there would be two, because at that point you'd come up from Leverett, right? If you just
Yeah,
chose the
that's
one
right.
in Leverett.
Yeah.
If you had
You know-
a physical failure on Leverett Road, then as long as you have the connection in Leverett, you're okay, right? But the other connection doesn't help you.
Yeah.
But there may be a scenario, I couldn't think of one offhand, other than if two things fail at once. If you have a failure of your service and you have a physical damage somewhere.
Exactly.
And here is back to the question of going from 250 megabits to 1 gig. I would say, okay, $600 extra a month. That's like $1 per person. I think it's probably worth $1 per person to have the to get something that's a much more usable backup. So I would vote yes for the 14 for going up to a gig.
And to be clear, the switchover would be really fast, right?
Oh yeah, that's automatic. That is a failover system.
It's automatic, right?
Yeah, they wouldn't notice the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, Rocket does that.
I feel pretty strongly that either way we have to get, I mean, unless they can turn it on instantaneously, that we need to get the gig, because otherwise it's kind of useless.
Yeah,
Like, why are we even paying for the 250 if when this back gets triggered, nobody can really do anything except make a phone call? Like, what's the point of having it?
Yeah.
Except that, outages are short term. And so the phone.
And phone calls are much more impactful, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Calling 911, whatever, that sort of thing. It's more impactful for sure.
True.
Yeah,
But then the people who are using Wi-Fi calling are out of luck.
that's true.
And so many of the town, well, I shouldn't say so many. It's still about a majority of the town does pay for the landline, but those that don't can't do anything.
That's true.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi calling is going to work on a gig, but
Yeah.
maybe not so good on 250. Yeah.
If we're planning on doing anything about this, stepping up to a gig in the next year, we've got to make a change to our budget right now. So,
Yes.
7,000 a year or something, right?
yeah.
Yeah. What I recommend doing is we do update the budget, Steve. And then if we don't end up using it, it will, go back into retained earnings. But let's put it in case we decide to do it over the next couple of months.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay, I'll go to work on it right now.
Budget
We're
revision yet
already
again. All
having-
right, I'll give you some time before we get to that.
Rev 24. Yeah.
Yep. All right, so I'll bring back more information next month about any other options.
Okay. Jim, you may want to let the finance committee know that final is not the final budget.
All right, they'll be delighted. They've had to make so many changes in the last week or so. Even Susie Mosier is complaining about it, but that's what their job is. So I don't think there'll be any problem. Getting Becky to do it, well, we'll see. But I'll warn them that this is coming, and for good reason too.
Mm-hmm. It's too bad you couldn't do like can a shared Google Doc do locked tables? Like the whole document is locked, except people have special privileges for their own tables.
I think Becky is sort of doing it all on her Mac laptop in her office, and I don't think that there's any other sort of access points, so to speak.
Okay.
So
Um,
that's the way it's done.
all right. Let's talk. Well, anything else about the hut? Graham, anything special or important happening there?
No, it was there the other day when I went in, 20 dead bodies on the floor for the season of ladybugs. Not too bad.
Okay.
So, there were 35 total tickets, help tickets for the month, and 12 of them were DHCP IP address issues. So, you know, it was a pretty average sort of a month, and we're up to almost 90% subscriber for the town. We got to 761 subscribers now. It's a little under 90%, I guess, which is a nice percentage, I think. There were 5 drop repairs. I'm going to start noting that each month as well. 5 drop repairs. One of them was work on the house. So presumably, you know, some contractor damaged one of them. So presumably there's only 4 drop repairs that we actually will have to pay for. But, so nothing else.
Great. Wow, I didn't even do the math recently. You are right. We're almost up to 90%. That's amazing.
Pretty impressive, isn't it?
Wow.
It is. The state thought we couldn't make 60%. I think.
We showed them.
Last night, Crocker did try to do that Juniper switch firmware update.
Yeah.
They got halfway done with it and they couldn't get it to go to the second switch. Tim Otto ended up visiting the hut at around 4 a.m.
Is that him? I saw him.
That was him.
On the video. Yeah.
Yep. And he was there until about 6 a.m. Nobody went out. There was not an outage because everybody was on the backup switch while it was all happening. But since they were pushing the limit of the outage and getting to the point where people were going to be, you know, online in the morning, they aborted, and they're postponing it until next week. So this is gonna be their 3rd try at it. So it's not smooth. It has not been smooth, but every time they're learning a little bit more about how to do it, and they're being very cautious with it so that nobody goes out, which I appreciate.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, whenever they keep trying and they get to a point where like, we don't know if this is going to affect users, so we're going to stop, hands off, and then solve the problem and then come back again. So I'm having Tim send out a kind of a, hey, thanks for your patience. We know we've been emailing you a lot about these updates. This should be the last one. You know, it's all in service of having a more stable network and, you know,
And
a
we
kind
want
of
to
a
make sure
different,
we get it right.
yeah, exactly.
A lot of organizations will just cover their be a little more obscure and just say we're doing a service repair or upgrade without saying what it is, and that way they.
Well, but they've already said that, and so
Yeah, right. Yeah, so, but
No,
you're right.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what you suggested is great.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to Steve. Are you ready for the financial report?
No.
That's okay. I'll keep
I
talking
would've
and
been.
we'll come back to it.
Somebody just threw something at me here, so.
The wrench.
Yep. No, take your time. So let's see, other maintenance things. I can't remember if I mentioned that our ONTs have arrived. So we're probably good for the next 18 months.
Good.
We have plenty of drop materials, also good for 18 months. So I won't jinx us by saying we won't have supply chain issues, but we're in really good shape. And there's 10 routers on back order. I'm sorry, not back order. They have been ordered. So we have all the equipment we need.
Great.
Yep.
Gail, it did occur to me, you pointed out the next generation of the router costs twice as much or whatever. We might still figure that we can given the advantage of standardizing routers for everybody. we might tilt it the way we want if we identify what model we would like for the next generation, and just make it $100 subsidy, or so that it makes it a lot cheaper for a customer, and there's the added bonus that it's easier for for them to get diagnostics help. So
Yeah, but I'm not sure I want to make that call yet. We don't.
oh no, we don't have to make it
this-
yet, but we will when we can't get the router we like. We might have to choose. We could choose another router, right?
I see.
And at that
Yeah, there will be a point in the future when we will have to change the router that we're giving with installations, and make the choice if it's going to become a managed router or not. And do we want to deal with the associated costs of that? Based on what we've seen so far, I think the managed router is a terrible deal. It just like,
Yeah.
the amount of, we're getting what, a dozen service calls a month of,
Yeah.
how much is it helping the customer? How much is it helping Crocker? Almost none. Like if they had visibility into the routers, it doesn't seem like it would do a whole lot, but technology could change. So anyway, that's my current feeling on it, is that we made a very good call by not doing managed routers and having to pay for all of that.
Yeah, no, I'm not suggesting we even go to managed routers, but it just seems like there's an advantage when there's a problem with the router. If there's fewer flavors, it's not a big deal, but sometimes it's a lot easier, especially for technicians doing phone support. So yeah, there still might be an advantage in the uniformity of that.
No, I think we made a great choice by that. And I do think that there is an advantage of that. And I think we should continue that in the future. When we upgrade, everyone gets the same upgrade. If we can't pull that off because of expense or some other reason, maybe it's two models, so that we keep the variety of technology as low as possible.
Yeah.
And Crocker just ask, what model do you have? Like, tell me what the thing looks like.
That's a good idea. Yeah, a fancy one and
a basic
normal
one, and maybe the user pays a little more
Yeah.
for the fancy one, and we give the regular for free. But anyway, it's at least a year away, maybe two, before we go to that. So we'll spend another 3 months talking about routers in a year. It'll be great.
It's really going to be no tech. The routers that are there are so capable. There isn't any technology, unless there's somebody that really wants to do something extreme, that's going to happen in the next couple of years, that's going to make them obsolete from a user
Yeah.
standpoint.
Other things. So the prevailing wage with Surtex is all set. We had a long discussion about that last time, and Donna said, indeed, we need to follow those rules. So I'll start getting those reports.
That's interesting, because Deirdre's convinced we do not.
I know. And I feel like we have to adhere to our own town council's advice.
Yeah.
I'm sure if we got Deirdre and Donna in the same room, they might be able to convince each other, but I don't want to be the middle person in that conversation.
Yeah.
Who is Deirdre again?
She's the lawyer that other towns, including Wired West, are using.
Okay.
She specializes in this kind of law, like municipal broadband law is one of her things.
Mm.
I think she spoke at that meeting in Heath that we went to about the like enterprise fund versus MLP accounting, if you remember.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. She was great. She was, personable, funny, and very knowledgeable. I got a little update from the surety bond thing. Do you remember how we're sent all those letters to the DTC? So it's nothing groundbreaking. It's just that the DPU weighed in. So even though it's a DTC, the Department of Telecommunications and Cable that is going to make the decision. The DPU has the opportunity to weigh in on this because it's a utility matter. So they sent back 12 pages that was basically a reiteration of everything that we said and the utility said. And the kind of conclusion of it was that they said the $6,750 per month that we have to pay protects the utilities, and that is in the best interest of the same customers who are using the electric. They also pointed out that it's
It
only
protects the utilities against nothing.
I know, but that's what they said. So they said it comes out to 75 cents per subscriber per month. And they said, we think that's reasonable. The only thing that was a little light in it was that they said that the amount of the surety bond we're required to carry may be too high, because we pointed out that to remove all of this, it costs like half or less of what the surety bond requires. So it's up to DTC to make the call on that. It's not surprising. You know, I did not think that the DPU would be on our side with this. So yeah, well,
yeah.
we will wait and see.
At the
Everybody's
moment,
trying to protect
at the
their
moment, there's
butts.
coverage to take it away twice, and it can only ever be taken away once. So
Yeah. Yep. So we're still struggling with the EBPP and the Lifeline status. I have everything ready to go and launch. The website is ready to launch. And as you can imagine, USAC, the organization that is in charge of administering this nationwide, is completely buried. And Crocker was approved. They finally figured out why they couldn't move forward and why they weren't listed on the USAC site as an approved provider. They needed to give a couple more pieces of some kind of certification or information. Kathy Whitney sent that in on Monday. So we are just waiting for the approval now and to get Crocker on there. I've been thinking all week, like, do we send out a message, like an interim message about this is coming soon? And I think that it's just going to confuse everybody more to say, well, here you can apply for Lifeline and then just wait a little bit. And then you can apply for this EBP benefit and you go here for this. I'm like, no, it just needs to be a single message. So I'm going to sit on it until it comes through. I talked to Crocker about getting our state reps involved, having them make a little phone call on our behalf, which I'm sure that they would do. I'm sure that Joe Comerford or Natalie would do that for us. And Kathy wasn't comfortable with that. She said, well, the reason we weren't approved is because they're actually waiting on us. We just didn't know it. So she said, give it another couple of days. And I said, if you at any time feel we're not getting the response we need, let me call our reps and get them to help. So that's where we are.
Wonder if we're going to a government rep, if it would be more Jim McGovern's field, since he's since this is a federal program.
Maybe. I just don't have a relationship with him like I have with Natalie and Joe, who
Okay.
have always said if I need anything that they'll do it. So they're
I just suspect a call to Jim McGovern's office that we're having trouble getting some benefits to our constituency out of the FCC, that they'd be happy to make a call.
great. I'll put him on the short list too. And if we decide to move forward, I'll call all three of them. So
yeah, Jim is a super friendly, helpful guy, even out here in the boonies.
Yeah, no, he is definitely.
great. Okay. Yeah, and I could always call Natalie or Joe and just ask them too, of like, would you be best for this, or should I call Joe, or maybe, they maybe even know somebody else better. So anyway, I'll keep on it. Stay tuned.
They
Yeah,
might call Jim too.
I did actually see on Elizabeth Warren had posted on her Facebook page a piece about the program. So I think, the news is out there. People are going to start seeing this. So it would be good if get it up and running for us.
Yep. Crocker knows it's high priority for us. Marianne has already reached out to me saying, is this available? And so I let her know where we stand. All right.
I can do the financial report.
Oh, you're ready? All right, take it away.
Okay, so without the, I'll do everything but the budget change first. Our current balance is 141,329. The electronic funds transfer, the EFT of the MLP fees from Crocker is now in operation. $39,589 was deposited seamlessly last. We've had another interest credit of $150 to our account by the town accountant. I've paid $3,600 to the town for hot electricity for the year and $174 for the manager's Medicare payments. These are the two indirect cost reimbursements made to the town for FY21. So yeah, that brings us to the revised budget. And
Steve, do you want to share your screen?
Sure, let me, okay, so now I've got what I want on there, and where do I do the save screen?
Look for the little green share screen icon at the bottom of the Zoom window.
I need to go back to my Zoom share screen. Okay, now let's try, let's see if,
There it goes.
let me just make sure this is, I have so many different budgets here. I want to make sure I've got, yeah, this, whoops. Yeah, please note this, no. Okay, oh, what's happening? Please move this window away from something, but I don't.
From the shared application.
Oh, but it does.
We can see it. We can just ignore that message if
Okay.
you want.
So there are now three changes actually. The first one that I had emailed people about was the change to the the increase in the manager's stipend. As I said, Becky had said, well, there was a 3% COLA last year and a potentially 2% COLA this year. And so that would be a sum of $600 more a year for our manager, which I would strongly support our doing this for two reasons. Our manager is well worth it. 12,000 a year, 10 hours a week, to me does not fully reward the actual work putting in. But more on a long-term basis, I just think that we should start to build the true worth of the position into our budget, the true cost of it into our budget. Because if or when Gail were to retire from this position and we needed to go out and hire outside for someone to do this job, I don't think we're going to get far with 12,000 a year. We certainly wouldn't get the person we would want for that price. So I think having something closer to the actual value of the position in the budget would be good. Other discussion?
Yeah. Whoops, sorry. Yeah, I agree. I think
You're about to be told the traffic for tomorrow will be paving the road.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what Code Red is. I
that's
thought Code Red was a scam.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why all our phones are ringing.
That-
Something
yeah,
for the town.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening.
Oh, and my line's already busy, so that's why I'm not getting it.
It's a local scam, Craig.
Uh-huh.
Steve, could you, for the sake of the minutes, because the phones were ringing and I was trying to, put out the fires, could you go over the big points there once again? Because I missed a lot of that.
My arguments in favor.
Well, just sort of a summary of what you said. I didn't.
Well, the current stipend for the manager at 12,000 a year, which is based on 10 hours a week, does not cover either the time or the value of the work being done. And then the other half was that I felt we should, our budget should reflect the, I guess I'd say the value of that job, the true nature of that job for the future. If we need to hire somebody, I said, if we need to replace it, we'd run into budget shock, sort of like sticker shock if we tried to replace Gale. So.
I think for the purpose of the minutes, we should just say we discussed the fact that the position is undervalued or something to that effect.
Yeah.
We don't have to go into lots of detail at this
Okay.
point because we haven't actually said very much. But we agreed that it was undervalued and we should look at it more proper valuation in upcoming budgets or something like that.
But I would start by saying that the increase is based on the COLAs that the select board and FinCom voted for all other town employees for the past 2 years.
Correct.
So it's not actually a special thing we're doing here for
Right.
Gale. It's equity.
Yeah, I think we can just say that we corrected an error and that we're now giving the COLA that all the other employees are getting.
Do we have to put a motion, Steve, and vote on that? I mean,
We do, but since I've also made the change now to the backhaul, let's do it as one thing for the whole new budget.
sure thing.
So yeah, here, and now I'm learning how to operate. Okay. Yeah, so first of all, there's that manager stipend there, that line, went from 12,000 to 12,600. The next line, employee overhead, went up by a couple dollars because of that. So then the backhaul, now the explanation is 10 gigabit Crown Castle at $17.50 a month, which is what we've had all along. And now it's 1 gigabyte MBI backup at $14.40 a month for a total annual fee cost of $38,280. And Jim, I can send you a copy of this. Be sending it to the FinCom anyway. So if you need to get those figures, you can pull it from there. Now, what that does, you drop down to line 25 here, that reduces our emergency reserve fund to $13,395 because money had to come out of somewhere. So that had been, let me just see, here it is before it was changed. It had been $20,835. It drops it to $13,395.
Yep, that looks good.
It's amazing to me that our backhaul is one of our largest expenses.
Yeah.
Is it like, I mean, after maintenance and, well, I guess depreciation too.
It's also amazing to me that Crown Castle is $17.50 for 10 gigs. And MBI is $14.40 for 1 gig.
Mm,
That's third grade math. That's a problem for somebody.
it's
Well,
very good.
Don't tell
Some-
Crown Castle.
there might be people on the shall we say, the conservative side of the political economic spectrum that would say, well, that shows what happens when you get the government involved in,
Yeah.
in building something as opposed to private enterprise. But
Yeah, and you could say, but Crown Castle said it was a good deal, even when they offered it. I remember that they thought.
Well, but also be careful, because I think in either case, I doubt that going up tenfold in backhaul increases the price tenfold, does it?
Right, that's probably.
Yeah,
Probably not.
also-
It's-
Also, there's, yeah, you get volume discounts.
Exactly.
But there is a special thing that's not reflected in this budget. And that is that when Crocker signed and quoted the contract, which included the 10 gigabit amount, it was incorrect. It was lower. So they are eating part of the cost of our 10 gig connection.
oh,
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that's not, I have it somewhere in my records. It's not double, but it's a lot more than this in reality. And when I took it to Matt, I said, this was a mistake. We based our budget on it. We can't, change everything now. And he said, don't worry about it. We'll cover the mistake. So that is going,
I'm sorry.
yeah, so that's gonna, I assume, change when we move to a new contract.
That's what I was gonna say. A year from now, when we are getting our new bids in, we may see an impact there.
So back to the MLP manager, when we are in the renewal phase of our recontracting phase, are we going to want to up that position just temporarily for that year, or?
We could.
And we could, but I don't like bumping something up and then cutting it back down.
Well, you just can't, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be this winter that we're gonna start working on that. So when that happens, let's have a discussion about what that workload is gonna be and what that should look like.
But doesn't that mean we have to worry about it now? Because we're determining
Yeah,
the budget
it'll be
now.
right
Oh,
For,
yeah, right. Oh, we can't change it.
we can't put it off. We have to
Right.
have that discussion now.
That said, I'm now, since we're an enterprise fund, we're not a separate MLP. I'm not sure just how much we can jigger with an employee salary here.
No. It would be the number of hours. It would be we wouldn't change the salary at all. We would change the fraction of time. I
Hmm.
mean, we wouldn't change the hourly rate.
Yeah.
In fact, you could even structure it as we keep the same cost basis as before, but we're adding an additional one-time thing because we're in this phase, and make
Yeah.
it 2 pots of money if you want.
You could just put it in the budget like that, add 10 hours or whatever, and
Right.
and put a placeholder in the budget.
Yep. Extra work at the same rate.
I mean, it
Any
may be
idea-
more than 10 hours. I was just whatever hours.
Any idea
It-
how much extra time we're talking here?
Unfortunately,
fraction.
without digging into it, I couldn't give an estimate. I mean, writing that initial RFP was like 30 to 40 hours. It was heinous.
Right.
But it's gonna be a lot less work for this. I just don't know how much. It depends on how many changes there are, and
Sure.
so it's really hard. I don't think I could without really like actually going through the whole contract and do it, kind of
We
doing an
could
estimate
call it
of.
40 hours. Maybe we could just call it 40 hours now as a placeholder and figure that it's something like that, right?
40 hours for the year, so we're bumping it up.
Yeah,
to
as
four.
an added task for the year, but for the period when it has to be
Oh,
done.
40 hours for the whole year. Gotcha.
Yeah. Better, yeah, that's right. Adds it to the budget. Yeah. Would that, Gail, would a solid week of work spread, however it had to be spread, would that be a reasonable placeholder?
Yes, I think that would cover it, the whole process.
Let me throw something else out here. I'm not really comfortable with having to go to the town at this stage of the game and say we want to add another line for, additional work to be done, which is really going to be done by the manager, but we're calling it different payment. And if we'd started this conversation 2 months ago, better. I mean, they may still want to kick it to the personnel board because they have to give them something to do. And Gail, how would it seem if next winter, when we're putting next year's budget together and you're in the midst of this, that we revisit the entire manager's stipend, pay, whatever we want to call it, and be looking at an increase for a year from now, even if some of it effectively works out to be retroactive, even though it's not going to, on paper, it won't be retroactive, but
They are two different things, though. I mean, they really are two different things. I mean, it may be easier from a procedural town thing, but it's distinctly, again, more money in the future. That's certainly a wise thing to do, but this is it's a set task for a short duration, relatively
And
short duration.
And I'll speak on Gail's behalf. If she does this extra work in December and then in April she gets an amazing job in San Francisco, we'll never be able to pay her that money, right?
I mean, if we really want to reflect what it is, the way to do it is set aside hours for this period. Otherwise, we're going to be explaining something else that's not
Right.
really what it is.
Exactly. I agree.
okay,
I
so
should say in April if
it's going to be a new
Tasha
line
hires
item.
her for her company.
It's going to be a new line item in the budget. What are we going to call it?
New contract procurement.
Or new contract negotiation.
Yeah, new network, an NOISP contract negotiation.
It's a little bit more than negotiations. It's all the prep work beforehand, Gail.
Yeah.
That's all. Just to,
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, yeah,
I think
yeah,
time consuming is going to be updating all the paperwork.
yeah.
Right.
I'm gonna have to leave you guys. I'll see you later.
Okay, Eric.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay, how's that?
Yeah.
Is it new ISP contract preparation, not MLP?
It's network operator and ISP.
Yeah, so I
ISP.
call it NO and ISP.
Yeah, yeah, slash ISP. Yeah.
You can reduce that to prep if you want.
What was that?
You could reduce preparation to prep if you want it to fit. Doesn't matter. I don't care.
Becky's gonna care though, because it has to fit on an 8.5 by 11 sheet.
Through that.
We've already got, actually, I guess we don't have ones that go over, do we? No, we do. Electronic depreciation is really long. Anyway, she can shorten it. I mean, another possibility is to
So
get
how much
some-
money are we putting into this?
40 hours at whatever. What's the current rate?
50 bucks
Around
an hour
20.
for 1,000.
There you go. $2,000.
Oh, 2,000, yeah.
Somehow, what's happened here?
Why don't we put 60 hours in? I mean, it's easier to go
Yeah.
down than up.
Second.
It's an old contract thing with me.
3,000 bucks.
Oh, we lost your screen, Steve.
Right.
Am I back?
Yep, you're back.
And then your overhead will increase accordingly. And I think that's totally reasonable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Steve, if you're having trouble typing in cells, try highlighting a cell and then pressing F2.
Okay, well, it seems to work now. So,
We call it preparation and negotiation of new NO and ISP contract.
Is it 2 years or 3 years, the current?
It's
Uh,
3.
3 years, so. Yeah, if you- So it's this cost that spreads across a long period of time. That's good.
Yeah. Oh, Steve, I meant to put it in the column C for the description.
oh,
So we have plenty of room there. Sorry about that.
You could put, what is it, 60 hours at what, that's that, 50?
That's now at 60 hours.
60 hours.
Yeah. God, I hope it's not going to take that long.
I was just thinking, I mean, you have all the write-up stuff and everything like that, then you're gonna have to get together because we're gonna have to give you inputs of what, make sure everybody, what changes we think need to get in there. And another big part of it is finding and contacting and talking to the potential ISPs that are out there. And
Yeah, if we follow the,
Well,
well,
we
we have to follow the bidding process of doing the bidders meetings and all that. So yeah, it's some time.
it,
I mean, I hope it doesn't take that long either, but I was just thinking there's a lot of ancillary things that go into it that you probably didn't have in your head.
There's a lot of ancillary things that go into everything I'm finding.
So let's put it at some in there extra.
So while Steve is working on getting the wording and things, I'm going to talk about something else, and that is that in April, I sent a letter to the select board urging them to put a employee review process in place where right now town employees don't really get any feedback whatsoever. Town employees get annual reviews, but I've seen some of these and they're just basically the town employees saying like, well, here's what happened this year and here's what I'm planning to do. And everyone shakes hands and goes away. There's no 360-degree communication from the employee saying, trying to tell the town what the problems with the positions are, and nothing coming to employees about what they're doing well, how they can do better, what skill sets they need to improve. And it was inspired by Becky's contract renewal. And I put that right in the letter of like, this is something we all need to start doing. Otherwise everyone just kind of gets stagnant and you're missing an opportunity for everyone to get professional development and keep workers happy. I was thinking of our police chief. We could have identified that maybe a year earlier if there had been something in place to identify these overall problems with the position. So anyway, it was an overall letter about just kind of how we run structure. And I highly encourage them to put something like this in place. There may be legal problems with it, with personnel about how to do this and everything. Anyway, I put it out there and I realized that as a town employee, I can't put it out there and not ask for it myself. So what I'd like to do is put my money where my mouth is and start doing these for my position. Whether I'm in this position or someone else is, I think we should make it an annual thing so that we keep our MLP business running healthily make sure that problems are identified early, and that I want to know that I'm doing a good job, that, the board who, with our new structure, I or somebody else is going to answer to is happy. And again, that we identify anything that needs to be changed or done better early, so that we keep maintaining this, level of excellence of running our committee and running this little business of ours. So what I'd like to do is set up just an online survey feedback for myself that we can replicate every year. And because this is not a select board run initiative, it's my initiative. Participation is optional. I will put it as part of our ongoing records so that we have a kind of historical record of what's happened in a position. And so anyway, like I said, it'll be online. It'll just be a survey format. You can identify yourself or not. I realize it's a small committee, so being anonymous might be tough. But I really want the feedback. It's I don't see any of this as a pejorative kind of process. I see it as a betterment. And so I want to use our committee to lead by example here, in a process that maybe can be instituted on in a larger level. So that's my thoughts.
I think that's absolutely excellent. And I think it sets up, it not only establishes, but it sets up communications among people, connecting and letting fresh air and people to vent things, or maybe that's a too strong a word, but just express feelings or things they've noticed that are needs improvement or that are absolutely wonderful, etc.
Yeah, and also roles change over time. And this is another way to identify those changes so that job descriptions and compensation can be, modified over time to match that.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. Great.
Great. So over the next month or so, I'll set that up. I'll do a draft of the survey, just like in a Word document before it gets built. And I'd welcome feedback on it about what other questions should be asked in it. And like I said, this is something that we can use year after year, and we can share it with other town committees who may choose to implement this. Steve, how are you doing with the spreadsheet?
I'm all set here.
Okay, great. Before we vote on this, any other comments, concerns about the feedback loop idea?
Sounds good.
Okay, great. Steve, do you want to say anything else about the budget before we
Well,
go?
I made now these additional revisions. So the emergency reserve fund for FY22 is now down to 10,395. So far this year, we've spent $2,100 out of our emergency reserve fund. So, I assume we'll be fine with 10,000 next year. And so the vote would be on the revised budget. Does anybody else have any comment?
Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Yeah, well, I hope that if we're taking a vote, there's a consensus here, so.
Looks good to me.
I guess
Yeah.
we need a motion to accept the budget revised as of today's date.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Unanimous.
So I will send this to Becky and tell her if she has any complaints not to talk to me. No, I'll send it to Becky. And Jim, should I send this right to the FinCom as well?
I would send it to Becky because she's the one who distributes the overall warrant articles and everything else. And so
Okay.
that's the central, I think sending it to FinCom, you know, in a way, our affair is really sort of, you know, in a separate little part altogether and isn't of tremendous concern. All the wailing and thrashing that's going on with everything else. So it's a sort of outside of this. I don't think the FinCom needs to spend any time deliberating this, but you know, Becky obviously needs the information so she can put it into the warrant article. So I would send it to her.
Okay.
And
And
then if she wants to send it on to us, then that'll be fine. And she probably
Okay.
will.
I'll send you a copy of it, Jim, just so that you can
Okay.
current figures for the minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
Steve, CC the whole committee, might as well, with
Yeah,
it.
okay, yeah.
And Steve, are you comfortable at town meeting
Yeah.
talking about this and
Yeah.
answering people's questions?
Yeah.
Great. I'll be on the sidelines as well for that.
That's right. This is our last meeting before town meeting, so,
Yep.
yeah, no,
Yep.
I'm fine with presenting this to town meeting.
Great, thank you. Speaking of town meeting, I mentioned in the email I sent out that I'm looking for a few volunteers to help set up and research a better townwide Wi-Fi system. We set it up last year and it worked okay, but we ran out of device space. Our routers topped out at 50. We didn't realize that. So the task here is to research different router options or I can get a couple more from Crocker and we can run them in a chain. I have no idea if this works. This is not my specialty. And then on town meeting day, set it up. I'll be there as well to climb up ladders and plug stuff in and do all that. Bring extension cords. So Graham has volunteered. What's that?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Graham's volunteered. And
I've got the routers.
and Jim's got more routers than we need. And is this, the people out who know, is using multiple routers, is that something that's going to work okay? Or
Well-
should we look into getting like a music festival router? I've seen a couple
No.
of them online.
And I don't think it's going to be necessary. I would maybe set up two routers. We didn't set it up to take full advantage of the Linksys routers last year, and we also took the connection out of the Linksys router that was inside. But this year, I think we ought to go directly to the Juniper switches or the Juniper units, because you can plug directly into those, and that'll give us more of a direct shot, a beefier shot, so to speak. If
But
Graham
that-
agrees.
My understanding is that wasn't the problem. The problem was the number of connections each router could sustain.
Right.
It was.
So
But
I don't,
we had
I
it was set to 50, you know, and we didn't make an attempt to, you know, increase that.
Oh.
I think
What?
we could easily change
I've
that.
got more than 50 in my house.
Well, that was the default. It's the default setting of the, you know, the Linksys router, and we didn't play with that, and we should have,
Okay.
because we did it sort of on the spur of the moment, having been requested to do so at the last minute.
All right, so let's go with our existing routers, set up at least two of them and fiddle with the settings so that 50 device limit is removed. There's not going to be like 500 people here. You know, it's probably going to
No.
be maybe 200. So sounds like we can handle that with our existing equipment and we don't have to buy anything new.
Is
Sure.
it outside again, or is it
It
going to
is.
be back in the school? Okay.
It is. So putting them on top of our hut, like just perching them
Yeah.
on it was a great way to reach the whole field.
Yeah. And with two of them, it might make sense to just run one about, I've got a 75-foot Cat 6 cable. So it might, doing power over Ethernet and running it to get separation. Sometimes if you put two APs, access points together, they tend to, blot each other out. But we'll look into it anyhow. But we'll get back to you.
I'm happy to contribute if it's warranted. I'm also happy to sit back. So call on me if you want. But
Very good.
I'll be there if you need help with anything, so.
All right, thank you. So,
Jim and I'll.
Jim, it sounds like you have some spare routers, so I'll be in touch with you about that equipment. We'll need some Cat 6 and some extension cords, and also a ladder.
you know what you could consider doing? Becky's brother, I think, lives on one side of it and of town hall, and Ken Rotundi lives on the other. We could try setting up routers at our routers, not theirs, on their properties, so that we've got more spatial distribution.
That's yeah. At least doing one of them. Yeah, I reckon 2 APs would be enough. But yeah, you're right. One
That way they're not located at the same place, so people in the back might be able to access Ken Rotundi's in particular neighborhood a lot easier.
Yeah, that's a good
I'd be
idea.
happy to talk to him if that's of interest.
Okay, that's what we. Yeah. Okay. We'll. Jim, you and I should think about all these possibilities, and we should think about it fairly soon, because it's probably only a few weeks away, right? The 12th of June, is it?
12th of June, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so Graham and Jim, I'm going to put you on the lead with this, with Craig as backup, and certainly me to do any legwork that you need.
Cool.
Okay. We're almost to the end. Ayers, would you like to share your announcement?
Sure. I presume everybody knows that Peggy and I have been sort of leaning to move east, to get closer to medical attention. So out of nowhere, we found somebody who was renting up the street, made us an offer. We said yes. So we'll be closing on June 28th on this beautiful property, which we love so much, the silence and the stars, and gonna miss it. But we're getting older, and we need to get closer to medical facilities and people who will be our caregivers if necessary, get closer to them.
Well, Shutesbury is going to miss you, just like you're going to miss Shutesbury.
Indeed.
And yeah, we're sad to see you go, and I hope that it's a really great move for you and Peggy to be closer to family and the doctors you need. But we'll miss you. I'll miss you.
The worst part about it is I think I have to choose between Comcast and I don't know what the other.
Oh no, no. Well, I mean, I hope you have a choice.
The indignity.
Well, it's something
I
like
hope you at least
Comcast.
have a choice
Yeah,
from between awful and other awful.
yeah, that's about it.
Oh.
But I don't know if they'll let me just get an internet connection without buying X number of channels in one of their packages.
Well, they will, but it'll.
Cost you more.
It might.
Yeah, you might have to buy just useless channels.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah.
We'll
Will
give
you
you
be back for? Will you be back for the Tour de Quabbin?
Oh, well, yeah, this June 28th, not May 28th. So,
No, I mean next year. I'm thinking.
oh, I see. Who knows? I
Who
bought
knows?
a nice bike down in Florida last year. And of course, we were away during town meeting. And I've ridden it because it was better for hills. It had 3 forward sprockets and so forth. And the amount of times I've ridden it since we got back last June is not that many.
Oh well.
I do a lot of walking, but not so much bike riding. But it's been a great pleasure with working with all of you guys and having you put up with a grouchy old man.
No, it's been a pleasure as well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Ayers, in your new town, maybe you could start this initiative.
Well, I probably better wash my mouth out after I say this, but I was thinking, now that Gail doesn't have so much to do, she could do the same kind of thing for electrical source, as in solar panels. It's just a joke. It's just a joke for Shutesbury.
We'll take the MLP to be literally the municipal light plant.
Yeah.
We could
Yeah.
branch out to that.
We could do that. All right. Well, speaking of solar, I wanted to end close to 7 so that those who wanted to attend the meeting this evening could. Is there anything else before we go? All right, great. Well, I guess I will see all of you at town meeting.
Very good.
All right,
All right.
bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.